A good and a blessed Sunday morning to you, my dear brothers and sisters. In the Gospel of today, we are presented with a very interesting character. This character is Thomas. Thomas is well known for doubting that Jesus had risen from the dead. And for that, he has gone down through the ages, known as the doubting Thomas. And that phrase is even used today to refer to those who doubt, those who do not believe, those who do not show faith. But one says, who could blame Thomas? Who could blame him for doubting something so impossible? Rising from the dead, something unheard of. So it happened that after the death of Jesus, all the disciples were grieving. So Thomas is that character who, when they are grieving, will prefer actually to isolate themselves, to be by themselves. And there is nothing wrong with that. This explains why Thomas missed the appearance of Jesus, the risen Lord, to the rest of the group. It happened on the first day of the week that the disciples were together and Thomas was not there. Jesus appears in their midst. The doors are closed, locked, and he says to them, "Peace be with you." And the disciples are amazed. They can't believe their eyes. And I think Jesus could see this. And to prove to them, he asked them, "Do you have anything to eat?" And we hear there was fish. Then he took the fish and ate, as a way of proving to them that it is him, not a ghost. For a ghost cannot eat. Then Thomas arriving, one imagines that he finds the mood is totally different than when he left them, sad. Now, even just looking at them, he sees that no, something happened. They should know something that I don't know, or they have experienced something that I didn't experience. Then he might have asked, or before he even did that, they told him that the Lord is alive. He appeared to us. We proved that actually it is him, not just a ghost, because we gave him something to eat. Thomas refuses that evidence. Thomas refuses that test. He has his own. He says, unless I touch, unless I put my finger on the holes in his hands, unless I put my finger on the holes on his feet, unless I put my hand on his side, I refuse. I will not believe. And one realizes that actually it is very, very important for the apostles to believe. And we hear that 8 days later, again on the first day of the week, on a Sunday, Thomas is among the rest. And Jesus appears. As he appears, it is that time now for Thomas to prove. so as to believe. And Jesus invites him, put your fingers, put your hand. Do not be doubting, but believe. It is I indeed. I have risen. And this is the moment when we hear the great profession of Thomas, my Lord and my God. Jesus says, now you believe, Thomas, because you have seen. Blessed are those who without seeing yet believe. The great tragedy in the life of Thomas, or in the experience of Thomas, is the tragedy of being away from the community, is the tragedy of being away from the brothers and sisters who believe. By being away from them, he misses the opportunity to witness the risen Lord. By being outside the communion, the fellowship, he misses a lot, and his faith lags behind. My dear brothers and sisters in Christ, usually talking about this gospel, we will talk a lot about people who miss Sunday Mass, people who do not fellowship with others, people who would rather stay at home other than coming to church. And given this time when we actually don't come to church, what could be the lesson which we get from this gospel reading? You realize, I think you have now, it is more than 21 days since we are on lockdown. Within the family, you realize that there is always that member, or even more than one, who will always find an excuse to go out. During this time of lockdown, people who are allowed to be out, there are people who are giving the essential service. And most of us are called to stay at home, to be safe at home. But I think by now you would have realized, maybe as a husband, as a wife, as a child, you would have realized that it is very, very challenging, because we are used to a way of life where we get up in the morning, we go to work, only to come back in the evening. So we don't spend so much time together. Before we know it, we get bored of each other. Before we know it, we are missing our friends. Then we seek to go out. We seek to be away from the family. We seek to be away from the community, the domestic community, the local church, the family. There are a lot of people out there who are roaming the streets, not because they are giving essential services, no, but because they can't stay at home. Because I cannot stand my wife, because my husband is doing this and that, because all these kids, and I will prefer rather to be out there. And dear brothers and sisters, the tragedy which Thomas faced is the same tragedy which we ourselves will face. The tragedy of missing the appearance of the risen Lord. Every time when 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, he says, there I am in their midst. I am there with them. And how often has my family gathered and I'm not there. The painful thing with this, a lot of people will be affected, a lot of people will get sick, and a lot of people will die because within the family there is someone who couldn't stay at home. There is someone who couldn't stay with everyone. There is someone who preferred to be out there only to come back with the illness, only to bring death to the family. I pray therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, that this time, the time of lockdown, will be a time where we reconnect with each other, a time where we rediscover how important, how beautiful my husband, my wife, my children, my family is, and how important they are in my life. It is only when I discover that, it is only when I appreciate them for what they are, that I will be able to witness the risen Lord, not alone, but together with them. Alone, I'm just running the risk of missing out. Dear brothers and sisters, a family that prays together stay together. And this is the time, this is a God-given time that we do that, so as to stay together. Be safe. Stay at home with your family. Amen.